Hi friends, in today's video, I am going to be talking about how to step into your genius zone as a spiritual teacher, but really truly as a coach, as a mom, all of the roles that we play. And this video is really specifically targeting people who may feel that you are feeling like the world has put you in a box when really we kind of put our own self in the box, right? But it's about this recognizing when we're doing it. And today's video is also a clip from a group coaching session that I had, Be Your Own Boss coaching sessions, and what is coming forward for not only all of the bosses, but me, myself. And I hope that you get lots of golden nuggets from it. So if you have been struggling with how and what and where and when and why, with what that looks like, because your typical coach or teacher, all of those roles that we play as an entrepreneur, they tend to look a certain way, right? We have a reference point for that. So I hope that by the time that you watch today's video, it gives you permission to be who God created you to be. And please, if you want more videos like this, comment below if you like it, or better yet, what your takeaway was. And if you want more videos like this, please share that as well. And if you want more strategies, tips, tricks around building your life and your business with simplicity, faith, and happiness, then please hit that subscribe button, and also the alerts, the little bell, hit that so that you get alerted when I share a video. But I definitely want to hear any ideas that you may have on future topics. So I'm going to get into a snippet from today's coaching session that came forward. Sharing this with you guys is because I want to see how it's showing up for you when we're doing deep work and we're moving, taking that next step, taking that next leap. Things can come forward for us and they present themselves as a problem or whatever, but really truly what they are is costumes. That's why Michael keeps it very simple. It's a costume. Do you want it? Wonderful. We're going to support you while you wear it. Do you not want it? Wonderful. Let's let it go, right? And so my costumes that I was wearing was, I had a performance costume. Oh, I'm the business coach. I need to perform. I need to deliver what they paid for, right? And there's not, bless you, Sinead, that's not necessarily a negative thing, right? Like we want to deliver, we want to have those things, but we already trust and know ourselves, right? This is the trust and faith that I already know my integrity. I don't need to prove. That's a different costume. We're proving ourselves, right? The second one was perfectionism. Yeah, that one was a little bit, but I caught it and I was like, okay, there you are. And that's okay. We're going to yeah, you can go play in the road, Miss Perfectionism, whatever. And the little element of people pleasing, right? But even bigger, I stood back and I was like, okay, the Soul Stories book didn't get launched, and the harder I tried, the worse it got. Like seriously, to the fact of I was like, yep, we're gonna take this little book and it's gonna go on this shelf right there. It's not even manifested yet, but all of it's there waiting, right? I'm not going to go on the rabbit hole there because actually it's turned into be the biggest blessing I can even imagine. Now, this goes back to my faith in Christ and in God, knowing that He's got my back. And if I just trust in Him and trust in myself, then everything's going to be okay. Why wouldn't I have trusted in the bosses to have my back as I have theirs? I don't know. When I looked at it from that vantage point and that perspective, I was like, well, duh, of course they wouldn't have been mad. In that moment, in the 24, 48 hours, I didn't see that vantage point, right? And so it can be so subtle. And as we're working on our businesses, you guys, this is what's coming up. If we allow ourselves to be in that space of going, oh, interesting, the costume, right? Which costume is it? It makes it more playful, right? You don't beat yourself up. You don't go into those lower vibrations of guilt, shame, anger. That's why I'm such a fan of Michael's process, because there's no need to go into good, bad, right, wrong. It just keeps you in the monkey mind and it keeps you in the struggle. So then again, within that, my bosses were a massive, massive energy healer for me, in the sense of every single time we would come up to a coaching session, and it happened with every session, every single one, except they might have looked a little differently. But every time we would go to get into the session, they would have, I don't want to say a meltdown, but like massive stuff coming up. And I'm just observing, going, they had no idea. It wasn't about them. It was about like, oh, wow, what is going on here? We can't go in. And here's how it was being presented to me. Now they had something being presented to them, right? They had their stories going on. Like every time I try to, go forward, this thing comes up. That's what was basically the coming up for every boss. And it wasn't a brilliant, like, we're having a session with G and it should be good, and it's actually not a good day. And I'm like, oh my gosh, there's no way we're going to get into the business stuff, right? I breathed through the first one and I'm like, okay, this is interesting, but trust yourself. It's okay. So I put that to the side. We worked on this boss's stuff, right? And it's like, oh, wow, a massive shift came in. Then we talked like this much about her business, and all this massive, within like 2 hours, all this stuff gets like, boom. And I'm like, okay, well, that was cool. Same thing over and over and over. And then what ended up happening was, we are having like more, like whether it was Voxer or WhatsApp, we're back and forth, back and forth. I sat back, and now here's what I want you guys. This was my aha today, even. Your typical business coach, right? Well, I'm not, or your typical business coaching session, right? I'm not your typical. I'm not your typical in anything, in religion, in anything. I'm me. And that actually, that is my message. That is who I am. I am helping people stand forward into who they were created to be, right? So of course, it's not going to look like that. Of course. And I share this because, like, I wrote typical business session. Yeah, it's not. And this is what our session looks like. With one of them, she had such ahas. I transcribed, I think, 10 things, and it's brilliant. Like part of her whole thing is written out just from her and I back and forth going, yep, and then this, and then this. And it was on WhatsApp when I was driving to my son's baseball thing, and she was laying in bed, I think. It was this massive. So I want to tell you, ladies and men, if someone's listening to the replay, don't be afraid to color outside of the lines, because I know that it actually can go so much faster. And when we get in, when we remove the costumes, the flow comes in, and that is the God flow comes in, and then it's like, and then it's easy. I know that part. So it's like, of course we're going to work through the mud first. One of the entrepreneurs, and maybe she'll feel, when I ask her, maybe she'll give permission where we can have an interview, because it was big for both of us. And I felt almost as if she was, I don't want to say judging. We both were like, this is not cool. Like, we didn't get anything accomplished. We just spent 2 hours and we got nothing accomplished. Right. And I had the worst night's sleep, and I'm being so transparent. It was brutal. I was almost beating myself up. Like, what is happening? What is going on? Right. And then I was like, wait a minute. I woke up at 3:33, and this is part of the story, you guys. This is good because I want you to see how it's relevant for what's going on with you, because it actually isn't different. I go in the living room, I'm sitting down, and I'm just like, it didn't feel good. I like, and this is what's going on in my head. Like, she paid me and I'm trying to help her, and I've been trying to help her, and I can't help her. And then I also have another boss, her echo, that said, you can't do the work for us. We've got to do it. And I'm like, yes, I realize this. Okay. So I'm performing. And then I'm just like, get out of your head. It's okay. And then all of a sudden I'm like looking at her business name, which we kind of addressed. And all of a sudden I was like, yeah, I don't like this. I do not like this, but I'm just going to share it because I don't think she's going to have hurt feelings. But basically, then I just WhatsApp like 50, not 50, but a lot, right? there was her session. The session that I thought we were supposed to have the night before, boom. And then she opened up and it was like, oh my God, thank you. There's the word again. It liberated her. She was like, I'm done. Like, I'm so done. And in that moment, I started crying. I was like, Jena, you didn't trust yourself from day one. You didn't trust yourself. And had you trusted yourself, this is your process. Stop trying to fit in everyone else's box. So I took a big breath and then I was like, wow. And even her business name, some of the stuff we just could never pinpoint. And this actually wasn't even just this session. We've talked about it, and talked about it. But it was like that, just our powwow and how we both engaged with her going, what's happening? I'm not moving, and me judging myself saying, I'm not helping her. What's happening here? Right? That is actually what was needed. That was what was needed. And so you guys, when you guys have your sessions, they're not going to be typical. And I hope that they're not. Allow yourself to show up the way that you are. Don't worry about who's going to resonate with it, because we already did our avatar. We know that girl, right? We know that girl. Sarah, my girl is Sarah, and Sarah just gets me. I don't need to go into extra details, because even when I do, my boss has said, oh yeah, girl, you're going to change it. Actually, that works out better. Okay. I have the most incredible humans, and those are the kind of clients that we want, that are the most incredible humans. And you will get that. You will get that. The more that you trust yourself, the more the liberation, the freedom, the ahas come in. Okay, that's it. Thank you for joining. And don't forget, each and every Thursday, we have our clubhouse. I'll put the link below the video. 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. We would love to have you join us, where we're talking about all things entrepreneur. It's called the Spa for the Entrepreneur Soul. Stay tuned for the next video. This week, we will be sharing a snippet from some of those clubhouses. So we'll see you in the next video.